Hello and welcome to today at G1 Climax 36 / The Treepenny Show. My name's James Treepenny. As you can tell, I'm on my own, but I brought my guitar with me to bring in some authentic feelings through my music. Christy is away today, so this week's show is just me on my own with my guitar. Don't worry, Christy's okay. She's attending to family business in a wonderfully, what's the word I'm looking, wholesome way. Anyway, she's fine. We are going to look at the two nights. We're going to look at the 6th of August show, that was Thursday's show, and the 8th of August day, that's the today's show as I'm recording it. And by the time you read it on Monday, there'll be another show on Sunday, which we're not going to cover till Thursday. I hope that doesn't cause any confusion, but both of us were busy this weekend. We knew we had things on. I'm off to go watch the drag racing at Melbourne Park near York tomorrow. So I will not be watching professional wrestling, at least until I get home. But on Thursday, we were at Hurricane Hall. We had 1,494 in attendance, which is not bad. The show, of course, opened with a rather touching tribute from Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tiger Hattori to the late, great Dory Funk Jr., who passed away earlier in the week. The Treepenny Show will be paying tribute to Dory in the near future. But for now, I'd like to thank New Japan Pro Wrestling for really paying tribute to a man who had no career in New Japan. He was an All Japan regular back in the 1970s and 80s, but he was one of the men that helped build the legacy of Japanese wrestling, and certainly was a massive influence on strong style and many of their wrestlers today, like Ryo Owa, for instance, who closely resembles Dory Funk Jr. in his approach. And of course, massively influential in WWE, the NWA Territory era, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and wrestling across the world. United Empire, Hinare, Jacob Austin Young defeated Masatori Yasuda and Yue Uemura. Is my answer to that. I was not looking forward to Yue Uemura versus Hinare, and having watched it now, I'm still not. It did what it needed to do. 4.93 from the cage match users, who were going to be my alternate opinion. I agree with them. A bit generous on their part, I thought. Anyway, Dick Togo and Ren Narita defeated Aaron Wolf and Tatsuya Matsumoto. 6 minutes. This was fun. Aaron Wolf is a shooter. He's a judo player, and Ren Narita is a shooter. He's a shooter. So, catch wrestling versus judo, always interesting, even with the shenanigans going on around it. So from a pure wrestling point of view, was fun. Knew there was going to be shenanigans involved because it's Aaron Wolf. And they give him as many bells and whistles as they can. But to be honest with you, he's improved that much in this tournament, he doesn't really need the bells and whistles to get over. He's kind of over. Job's done. Next up was a really interesting match. Oh, I need to give you an opinion now. That's my opinion for that one. Next up, United Empire, Callum, Newman and Zane J defeated Gedo and Oskar by countout in 8 minutes and 27 seconds. Zane J was in the ring, so he got credited with this victory, which is incredible because it was all about Oskar and Callum Newman, who were previewing for today's show. Oskar and Callum Newman's relationship is tempestuous, as you can imagine, two Europeans and exceptionally white human beings. I mean, they're reflective. I'm not sure they could go out into the sun without exploding. Anyway, or spontaneously setting on fire. Anyway, Callum Newman managed to lure Oskar outside during a count, and as a result of that, they got carried out. But it was fun, and we saw a lot more anger out of Oskar than we've seen this entire tour. So, I'm going to give this, because it was fun to watch at least. And it gives some interest in what was going on with the actual match. 5.47 from the cage match users. I think that's reasonable. It was a fun, performative kind of match. It wasn't straight wrestling, but they've got to do something different with someone who's so tall, and it made a better job of getting into his mind rather than getting into his body and going after his knee, as me and Christy have complained about on this tour. You've got to do different things, and that worked really, really well. A really angry Oskar, even, is a fun thing to watch, and you kind of know he's going to get his comeuppance because he's going to get distracted, but it gives you edge to what should have been a foregone conclusion when this 2 metre tall giant demolishes the small man from Essex. The Mighty O'Neil, Zack Sabre Jr., Hartley Jackson went up against Daiki Nagai and Drill Maloney. Daiki Nagai has got a bit of a thing for Hartley Jackson. As a result of that, this lasted 10 minutes and 23 seconds. And it was fun. Whilst it was there, it was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. This was kind of multifaceted. Obviously, because you've got a junior going up against a heavy in Driller, in Daiki Nagai and Hartley Jackson, and that was fun. Zack Sabre Jr. and Driller trying to have a wrestling match, or at least try and feel out how strong his wrestling skills were going up against Zack, which was a nice change from just going to try and out wrestle him and try and wrestle Zack's match. He's just feeling out where what things he could get out of the match to make him to see where he could put pressure on Zack, and it was a nice way of storytelling. Driller's become this ultimate professional, this slick wrestler who tries to get inside the game of everybody who wrestles, and Zack is Zack Sabre Jr., so he's in charge of all of those tricks. He knows what he's doing, and he can feel what Driller's going to do. So it was an intriguing chess match, matched with the unbridled enthusiasm of Daiki Nagai and Hartley Jackson to just have as much fun as possible. So I'm going to give it... That's my review of that one. Okay, so next up was Sanada versus Yota Ice. Now this was weird, because it had Sanada working a match in a kind of pure wrestling style for most of the match, and Yota Ice actually going to meet him, and he produced some of his first wrestling maneuvers in this match rather than making it completely strike heavy. So it was Sanada trying to bring out something different out of Yota Ice to try and defeat him as a wrestler, rather than knowing he couldn't take the strikes. And Yota Ice trying to show off, hey, actually, I know what I'm doing. I can do this technical thing if I want to, which was a suplex. It wasn't that technical, let's be honest. So it was a really interesting kind of match, and I thought it was kind of putting another stretch on what Sanada's doing as a heel in House of Torture. But push comes to shove, he's still having trouble, can't put the guy away fast enough, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru comes down with the guitar and encourages Sanada to hit Yota Ice with the guitar while the referee is not looking. And he does, but rather than pinning him straight away, he continues the story of Yota Ice losing by count out and lays down on the floor and gets up on the count of 8 so that Yota Ice gets counted out. So a humiliation rather than a physical loss. And we're back to the weak chin of Yota Ice. So it was weird, but interesting. So I'm going to give it... That is my review. Jake Lee versus Great Okan. 1 minute and 47 seconds. Big dumb wrestling match. That's all it was. For once, I kind of watched it in the background because I knew it wasn't going to last long. I knew it was going to be stupid, and it was stupid. I mean, it saved us having to watch Great Okan wrestle, I suppose. And he's been phoning it in for this entire tournament, more or less. Some bright moments of joy, I suppose. Similarly, I'm not particularly keen on Jake Lee, as regular listeners of the show will equally prize. So I think it was best for everybody that it only lasted 1 minute and 47 seconds. So I'm going to go... There you go, that's reasonably happy. Ryohei Oiwa and Hiroki Goto went to 8 minutes and 54 seconds. This was spectacular. Absolutely fantastic, this one. Oiwa has had a real coming out party in this tournament. The knock on him has always been, well, he's just not good enough, is he? He's not got it yet. He doesn't quite get it. And if anything has dispelled that, it's this tournament. This was fantastic. Really well done. Brilliant wrestling match. A favourite of Kyle Fletcher of AEW. He has pointed out on Twitter this week this is his favourite match of the tournament so far. And Ryohei won with a headlock again. He picked apart Goto, found his weakness, and then just managed to grind away that headlock for about 2 minutes, and that's all he needed to take the victory. Another fantastic performance from Oiwa. Goto doing his absolute best to get the young man over. This was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was probably my second favourite match on the card, so I'm going to give it... Glorious fourths. It was fantastic. Shingo Takagi versus Kinesuke Takeshita. Now, I've seen some negative things about this match online, that perhaps both of them are not putting in the performance they would. Well, I didn't think so. I disagree. 8.3 match from the 8.33 from the cage match users. I would strongly agree with that. It wasn't as spot orientated as things had been in the past. It was a bit more of a story. It was a bit more entertainment led. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially considering the gathering age of Shingo Takagi and the things he's put his body through. I don't mind if he just waits to put some big stuff in and tells a story and gets away with it. That's fine. You know, that's kind of what you're supposed to do. 19 minutes and 44 seconds. It lasted a length. There was a bunch of false finishes in it. I don't think it was better than Owen and Goto, though. The cage match guys have got it at 8.33. But I disagree. I probably around about 7. I think it was great, but I prefer the Goto match just because it did something so different and it was a different kind of match. It was 8 minutes. It wasn't the full kind of full range match you get in a 20-minute time limit or 20-minute match, but it didn't need to be. O was better than Goto at the moment, and therefore it told that story. It was still fantastic though, so I'm going to give it. Bit of hot rod. Okay. Main event time. Oleg, Boltin, Yota, Tsuji, 24 minutes 35 seconds. Oh my lord. This was absolutely fantastic. This was the best match of the tournament by a lot. It's been good, this tournament. There's been some great matches in it, and some of them are very, very memorable. But this has proven to be Oleg Boltin's coming out party this tournament, and this was just another case of how great Oleg Boltin can be, and how this character is so over, especially at Korakuen. Yota Tsuji's always been a big name at Korakuen ever since he came back from his excursion, but Oleg Boltin could have run for president in that room, or run for Prime Minister of Japan, I should say, and he would have easily got elected. This was just great. Boltin working from underneath with Tsuji as a monster, you wouldn't think it would work, but Tsuji's big enough and got the experience and that big gold belt to say, hey, I can boss you around. You're only New Japan Strong champion. I'm the champion of the IWGP, and I can take it to you whenever I want to. Boltin, meanwhile, working from underneath as comeback babyface. This was comeback kid territory, and this was just fantastic. You look at Oleg and you think, well, he's going to be a heater, right? That's his job. He's going to be a guy who, the bad luck Fale kind of role in a company. The guy's going to win titles occasionally, never win the big one, and just kind of like lump along and have a 10-year career of just being the nearly guy who, as a heel, kind of like puts everything together for everybody else. Not the case. He has got all of the skills and all the kit to be a main event star in this company if that's what they want to do with him. And after this performance, 10 points, co-leading Block A, there's nothing to say you can't do that. He's on the same points as Kinesuke Takeshita. Takeshita's leading because of his win over Boltin. But he's got Owa, Tsuji and Takagi on his heels, with Sanada, Jake Lee still in the tournament. People have gone out. Yuto Ice, I would think, on 6 points. Yeah. Great Okan on 4. Yuto Ice can't get any more wins back against people he's going to beat, so he's out. Hiroki Goto also out on 4 points, and Great Okan on 4 points. So there we are. I think Goto's probably actually got a better chance than Yuto Ice because he's lost against bigger opponents, won against bigger opponents. But we'll see when we come to the next day, Block Night, later in the week. But Yota Tsuji versus Oleg Boltin. That's how good it was. Right then, we then moved on to Budokan Hall. Not Budokan in Tokyo, where, All Japan did in the 80s and 90s. And Cheap Trick headlined a show in the 70s and made it their career. No. Yokohama Budokan Kanagawa. We had 2,742 in attendance. There has not been a show on this tour that's been less than 1,000 people. We've been saying, they're going to get to the Sticks, and they're playing the Sticks to 1,000 people, nearly 2,000 people. Yokohama's not the Sticks, but you get the idea. So, let's see. Tatsuma Matsumoto, Hiroki Goto defeated Masatori Yasuda and Oleg Boltin. There was Yushigoroshi in there to finish the match against Yasuda. This was a lot of fun. Obviously, Boltin and Goto are 6-man tag team former champions and tag team partners. That's his second run. That's all with Oleg Boltin. So this was a gentlemanly affair, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to their matchup. If Goto can take out Oleg, because he's his tag team partner, he knows him better than anybody else, that puts a chink in Bolton's armour. But if he gets into 12 points, then his semi-final's guaranteed. No one can do better than that. We're getting to the end of this tournament, so we will have to see. But it does intrigue me as what's going to go on there. Hartley Jackson. Ryo Owa defeated Zane J and Jake Lee, with Hartley Jackson demolishing Zane J. 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Kind of a standard lick, this one. It was fine. You know, I long held belief that I don't like Jake Lee, but did what it needed to do. Owa and Jake Lee is going to be really interesting because Jake Lee wrestled Oleg Boltin, didn't wear the makeup and tried to out-wrestle him because he wasn't trying to show him up. And I think he's probably going to be in a similar mode with Owa because he's not trying to show him up either, because earnest young men don't need the fun made of them when they're on a big push, as these two are, which kind of shows the limitations of Jake Lee's character in that particular case. But we shall see. Toru Yano and Konesuke Takeshita defeated Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Sanada. This is what I thought of that. Fine, did what it needed to do. Takeshita took the win out on Kanemaru, as you'd expect. Don't remember much of it, to be honest with you, because it's kind of your standard Yano House of Torture match. Did what it needed to do, got the people over who needed to be over. Happy with that. Much more fun. Daiki Nagai and Yota Tsuji gets Great Okan, Jacob Austin Young. Tsuji and Great Okan. Could be great, could be terrible. It depends which Great Okan turns up, let's be honest. He's kind of being an anti-wrestler at the moment, which would be fine if he was consistently good as a wrestler at the best of times. But he's not. Let's be honest. He's just a bit flat a lot of the time. Bless him. And that's okay. But equally, it's not much fun to watch for us. Is the bit of the issue there. I'm sure it'll be okay, but it's not particularly something I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to give it sound-wise. There you go. That's why I give it sound-wise. Taiji Ishimori, Shingo Takagi versus Gedo and Yuta Ice. More Unbound Company action on action, and this basically boiled down to Taiji Ishimori and Gedo, and Taiji Ishimori gets the win out over Gedo because he's the old man and he must lose every time he's in a match. Not every time he's in a match, but most of the time he's in a match. It was fine. I don't see a problem with this. It was okay. Nothing majorly bad about it. I am looking forward to Shingo and Yuta Ice because they are going to tear the house down. They're going to really try for one another, as they are faction mates. We've had a lot of Unbound Company and Unbound Company matches this year. So yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't see a problem with it. It didn't really do an awful lot as far as Yuta Ice and Shingo is concerned. That happened more in the aftermatch because Yuta attacked Shingo. Yuta's giving as good as he's got to everybody, but it's a bit like Christy said. If he's angry at everyone, when do we know he's not angry to have some calm? Which is an interesting point. I mean, it worked for Stan Hansen, but Yuta Ice is no Stan Hansen. So, here we are. But then we're on to... Well, let's give it a... Well done. Kind of resolved on itself, that one. Which, much like that match did. Drilla Maloney and Zack Sabre Jr. 18 minutes 29 seconds. This was great. This was so much fun to watch from a British wrestling fan point of view. This was closer to the classic World of Sport style wrestling match you would expect from two British wrestlers of this ilk. Drilla breaking out across buttock. The beginning of this match was hilarious. It's like, and here's what annoyed me was Walker Stewart and Chris Charlton saying, it's a judo move. No, it's a cross buttock. It's a catch wrestling maneuver. You should know that, both of you. Try harder. Anyway, they don't get things wrong occasionally when it comes to wrestling moves, but they do. They did in this particular occasion. It was perfectly fine. It was great. The only problem I had with this was the finish. Zach won with a double leg Nelson at the end, and that's usually fine, but Driller set him up for it, so telegraphed that it was happening so easily. I suppose you could say, well, I just wanted him to do it and try and catch him on the way back out, because I could handle it, and I just made a mistake, but it just looked a bit dumb. So that's the only thing that broke it down for me. I think I described it on Blue Sky as never has anyone outside of a porn set so willingly spread their legs for somebody, which is true. Keep your legs closed, Dan. It's more fun that way. Anyway, oh god, I had to watch this. UAU, oh yeah, I need to do a sound for Zach and Driller, don't I? There you go. UAU Amora Hanare, 15 minutes and 6 seconds by Lion Shiner. Honestly, as soon as I see Hanare, I'm starting to fade off in this tournament because it's always the same, and this wasn't much difference. I'm amazed it lasted 15 minutes, I'll be honest with you. He sent me to sleep. It wasn't a bad performance from Yui Omura. Hanare, it was a perfectly good Hanare performance. That's not necessarily something you absolutely want to watch, but it did happen. It was okay. Again, I'll go circular because it was neither offensive nor inoffensive. It was just there. Aaron Wolf versus Ren Narita, 14 minutes and 1 second. I'd have had more of this, to be honest with you. I'd have made the other one short and watched this more of this. This was great. Aaron Wolf and Ren Narita, like we said, shooter versus judo player. And Aaron Wolf was able to control Narita for the first good 5 or 6 minutes of this match. So a lot of it was very reactive on Ren Narita's part, which he's become very, very good at. Of course there was the clown car. Of course there was a referee bump. As soon as you saw that Marty Asami was a referee, you know shenanigans were going to happen. It was well done shenanigans, and Aaron Wolf leaves with a limp because he got caught with a chair on the knee, and that was the cross knee bar, and that was that. So to get someone a partner, there you go. That's my thoughts on that match. And then final match of the evening, 9th match, B-Block final tournament, Callum Newman versus Oskar. Oskar wins in 18 minutes and 18 seconds. Sorry, doesn't. Callum Newman wins in 18 minutes and 18 seconds of this particular match, leaving Callum Newman on 10 points. Oscar's still stuck on 8. Probably can't win the tour, get to the semi-finals now, but we'll see. He's waiting on other people, whereas Callum Newman controls his destiny at 10 points. This was exceptional because it wasn't a violent street fight like Oskar wanted, and it wasn't a high-flying wrestling match that Callum Newman wanted. There was so much different in this. Callum Newman is taking bumps for people that a man of his age shouldn't do, and God bless him, but Oskar at one point hurtled him 3 rows into the crowd to get a bump for Oskar, and that was it's a bit ludicrous. To the point of, don't do this as often as you are doing, Callum. I'd like you in one piece for the rest of this tournament and the rest of the year because you're very, very good. And I enjoy watching you wrestle. I mean, I hate you because you're the United Empire, obviously. But equally, please stop doing this because you're too good. And this is great. But you're a heel, and that's kind of what you're supposed to do to get those bumps for. That's what you're there for. So it was kind of a classic heel performance. And Oskar couldn't get the job done against Callum Newman. So I'm going to give it the rating of... There you go. That's my rating for that one. But yeah, it was very, very good. Now I'm going to go back. We're going to preview the show for tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a show... as you hear it, I'm not doing this until next week. The 9th will be Takasaki Gunma. Takeshi Nakahara and Toriyano will go up against Gedo and Oskar, because that obviously is Oscar's night off. He should have been wrestling Shota Umino. Aaron Wolf and Tatsuya Matsumoto will wrestle Callum Newman and Zane J. Aaron Wolf versus Callum Newman interests me, because I don't know what that looks like, and that's always a match that's going to be interesting. Ren Narita and Dick To Go will wrestle Daiki Nagai and Drill Maloney. Ren Narita versus Drill Maloney. Again, it's kind of going to be similar to the Zach Driller match, but obviously with shenanigans, and it's whether Daiki Nagai can hold off Dick Togo in the same way that he failed to hold off Zane J. So yes, we shall see. Hanari and Jacob Austin Young versus Hartley Jackson and Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, Zack will make Hanari interesting, so that's one that's coming up. Riot Owa versus Jake Lee. That's the opening match. I think Owa will probably win that one. I'm not really sure. It's difficult to predict because he's on a run and therefore he's kind of like going to the top of the block. I'm not sure what they want to do. Put some chink in his armour now or deny him the block. Sanada and Konesuke Takeshita. Another interesting one because I don't know how far they want to push Takeshita this year. He's had 2 good runs in the G1 in the last 2 years. Maybe it's time to call him off a bit. I don't know. He's TV champion after all. He's got plenty to do. Great-O-Khan and Yota Tsuji. Like I said, depends on which Great-O-Khan turns up. We're not sure. Hiroki Goto and Oleg Boltin, semi-main event. They've got time. It will be fantastic. It could be a match of the tournament contender. Goto is going to make that young boy look like a star. But to be honest, Oleg doesn't need the help at the minute. And Shingo Takagi versus Yuto Ice is an intra-factional dream match. It's going to be heavy hitting and hopefully no one breaks their jaw, is all I'm going to say about that. So that's me for today. That's been today at / the Troopany Show for this week. There will be a Wrestling Rewind on Wednesday, and there'll be other stuff as well going on during the week. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.